All right, so I just finished up Rampage, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I'm a big fan of The Rock. I have been since the WWF when I was a teenager in high school. I was super into, you know, Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin and Triple H and all that stuff. The Generation X and I was really stupid into that stuff when I was like 15, 16 years old. And The Rock was just a very charismatic, fun fella. And when he got into movies with The Scorpion King, I kind of thought it was funny. I was like, oh, he's going to try out movies. We'll see how long this lasts. And then he had some really good success with, I think, The Rundown was like his first like breakout, where people were like, wow, that was actually a really cool movie. And then he did like Walking Tall and stuff. And then, he just kept making movie after movie after movie. Something I've said about him in the past is, and I think I said this in the last one I talked about with a film that he had made, I just wish that he could do R-rated films too. Like, I'm okay with him doing more of these family-friendly PG-13 type movies, but can we get a Predator? Can we get a Terminator? Can we get, like, he's our Arnold replacement, right? Basically. I know a lot of people are like, hey, he's not Arnold. He isn't Arnold. I'm not saying he is, but he is this generation's Arnold. I mean, I don't feel like that can be disputed. And I really like the guy. It's just, where's the R-rated movies? That being said, I think one of the biggest surprises of Rampage is that even though it's PG-13, I actually thought this was a lot more gruesome than I would have expected, for sure. There is a lot of carnage. There is a lot of pretty grisly scenes, like some good blood and gore and people being ripped apart and swallowed whole and stuff. That really surprised me. I'm surprised they got away with as much as they got away with and still kept that PG-13. Maybe they lined a couple pockets over at the MPAA, but yeah, like I was impressed by that. Now, this film is pretty much exactly what you think it is. It is essentially a King Kong movie with a little bit of a like Godzilla flair to it, because he's like going up. It's this ape going up against other monsters. The other villains in the movie are like the human villains in the movie are as generic as humanly possible. The story itself is generic as humanly possible. The thing that sells this movie, the first thing I had already mentioned, was the violence level. I actually was, like, wow, that was cool. I actually liked that part of it. And, of course, The Rock. And I really liked the relationship between him and the ape in the movie. And the special effects are incredible. Like, we are becoming so spoiled that we watch a movie like this, and it's just like old hat to us now. It's just like, yeah, those are just normal special effects to us. Once upon a time, these would have blown us out of the water. Like, we would have been sitting there like, like, you ever hear that story of the first movie ever made? It's like a train pulling into the station, and people were like running out of the theater because they thought the train was going to come through. And you watch it now, and it's this grainy piece of shit, like 2-second film, and you're like, how the hell did anybody think that was going to be here? If you played this for me in the 80s, like when I was a kid, coming off of films I was familiar with at that time, I probably would have ran out of the theater, because I would have thought like the fucking apes and the crocodiles and the wolves would have came through the screen. It's so realistic, it's so incredible. And there's a really intense scene in the movie. Actually, this is like the best scene in the movie for me, where a building is falling. I'm not going to say anything else, but I just, for some reason, that really got to me. I have a hardcore fucking fear of heights, and falling off of a building just sounds horrendous to me. And the way it's shot and the way it's done, it was really terrifying to me. So I actually kind of lost my breath a little bit in the moment when I was watching it there. There's some really good humor here and there. There's a lot of humor that's just kind of, standard fare, where you're kind of like, like it's either like nothing or kind of just like a courtesy laugh. But there are some scenes where I actually laughed like out loud. One in particular at the very, very end, involving finger gestures. And there's actually another one in the beginning that involves one as well. But yeah, the chick from like the Heartbreak Kid, Malin Ackerman, whatever the hell, she's like one of the villains, and it's all for nothing. It's just like throwaway villains that you couldn't even remember tomorrow. But I was actually pretty surprised by her demise. I mean, spoilers, come on, you know these kinds of movies. You know they fucking pull it off, they win, and the villains lose. It's not a spoiler. This is a fucking blockbuster American cinema film. You know exactly what's gonna happen. Nothing is surprising at all. And that's the thing with these kinds of films. It's like they just check all of those boxes of, you know, what do people like? What makes people happy? Let's just throw them all those things, take zero risks because we put $120 million up against this and we need it to make money. The Rock's in it. Let's play it super safe. Let's not, you know. But the gore, violence, and whatever I thought was actually pretty risky. I'm surprised. Like I'm actually surprised I didn't hear more about this because I think people might have taken their kids to this and been like, "What the hell? Like this is wow, okay." But outside of that, yeah, like I enjoyed it. It's just one of those movies. It's kind of like, you know, it's like any one of these kinds of movies where you're just like, that was fun. Great special effects, some funny lines, gags, whatever. Yeah, good time. But nothing to rush to, nothing where I was like, oh my God, I was shocked at how good it was. No, it's exactly what you think it is, which isn't a bad thing. Because there's movies like this that you think you're going to get something like this, and then it's just awful. You know, that's not the case here. Where something's like completely off and things aren't working at all, and you can feel like the set was in chaos and what. That's not how this is. It's just very, very standard fare, like something you've seen a million times, but still fun. And The Rock, you know, just kind of adds to that. Just pushes it into just a little bit more enjoyable. So, anyways, I'm done rambling. But yeah. I'd check it out for sure. If you're into these kinds of movies, if you're like, I didn't like Kong Skull Island personally, but if you like movies like that, I definitely think this is one you should check out. All right.